Hello, everyone. Let's imagine the world where the internet does not recognize your language. You speak Nepali, but the address bar, the very gateway to the internet, cannot understand uh, it. Your identity, your culture, even your country name can't exist online in your one script. For millions of Nepalese speaker today, this is still the reality. Namaste and good morning, everyone. My name is Sudip Dhungana. I am from Nepal, computer science student, full-time program officer, and active member of ISOC Nepal chapter. Also, the MSc member of Youth IGF Nepal. And today, I am the next gen at ICANN 85. And before I go further, I want to be transparent. I am a learner, and this presentation is by research study. Now, I want to say every great change start with a question. And my question today is, can Nepal exist securely and proudly in global digital space in its own script? Can we have .Nepal? To answer that, let me first explain why the internet as it was built was not designed for all of us. The internet was built on a foundation of ASCII 26 English letters, 10 digits. Simple, efficient, powerful. But Nepali, our language, is written in Devanagari script. Letter like ka, kha, ga, gha, beautiful, rich, culturally significant letter, had no place in original internet architecture. This isn't just a technical inconvenience, it's a question of access, trust, and inclusion. When you can't type your own name, your organization, your own country name in your own script and have it resolved on the internet, you are in a very real sense excluded from the digital world. Language affect how people trust digital service. If a Nepali people who can't understand English see a domain name they can't read, they won't trust it. If a governmental a portal only exists in English script, millions of citizen are alienated. This this is the challenge. But there is a solution, and it's not new. It's called internationalized domain name. IDN allows domain name to be written in native scripts. They move us from ASCII old to Unicode old. So instead of example.com.mp or Nepali speaker has to transliterate and struggle with, we can we can have Udaharan.Nepal. Readable, meaningful, trusted. But just having technical capability isn't enough. There is something called UA, which means the IDN must work everywhere, not just in some browser, not just in some email clients, everywhere. And I'm very proud to share that we have already a live example in Nepal sharing the same language script with India on 17th May 2025. The CAN Dutch Sangathan, the Nepali IDN domain of the CAN Federation went live and become fully functional. A Devanagari domain resolving in a browser email addresses in Nepali script. This is not theory anymore. This happened. Now, if this works for one organization, why can't it work for an entire country? That's where .Nepal comes in. My proposal today is for .Nepal, Nepal's IDN CCTLD. Think of it as .np, but written in Devanagari script, a digital national identity in our own language. This is not just symbolic. It has three core pillars: cultural identity, Nepal's digital presence reflecting Nepal's actual language; digital sovereignty, Nepal controlling its own namespace; global interoperability, working with international DNS infrastructure, not against it. But who will actually make this happen? Let me walk you through the governance structure. I think implementation require coordination at two levels. Nationally, the Ministry of Communication and IT set policy direction. The Nepal Telecommunication Authority regulates and oversees domain operation and mercantile communication. The current .np registry operator who would handle the technical day-to-day operation. Internationally, I can provide the approval and framework of IDN CCTLD delegation. IANM, the Internet Assigned Number Authority, manages root zone delegation, and ITF standards ensure technical interoperability. The critical point is this can't happen without proper ICANN engagement. The IDN CCTLD fast track process exists precisely for this purpose. Nepal must go through the formal process. Now, let me explain the underlying infrastructure, how DNS actually works, because this is fundamental. I think everyone here knows DNS is the internet phone book. When you type a domain, DNS translate it into an IP address your computer can use. It operates in a hierarchy: root servers at top, then top level domains like .np or .nepal, then the actual domain, then the IP. This hierarchy is global, unified, and must remain coherent. That's why IDN CCTLDs must be properly delegated through ICANNs and so that .Nepal resolves correctly everywhere in the world, from a device in Kathmandu to the server in California. But DNS alone is not enough. We also need to make sure it's secure. And that brings me to the DNSSEC. Here is a sobering fact. Initially, DNS was not built for security. The original design prioritized functionality. There was no built-in authentication mechanism for DNS responses. This creates serious risks. DNS spoofing, where attackers redirect to the fake sites. DNS hijacking, where traffic is redirected without your knowledge. And fake banking sites that look legitimate but steal your credentials. DNS solves this. It adds cryptographic digital signature to DNS records, creating a chain of trust from the root all the way down to the domain. When you visit a .nepal domain secure with DNSSEC, you can be confident that the response has not been tampered with. So, for a country implementing its first IDN CCTLD, DNSSEC is not optional. It's essential. We must build security in from day one. Security is one pillar. The another is universal acceptance, making sure .nepal actually works everywhere. Universal acceptance is the principle that all valid domain names, including IDNs like .nepal, which must work in all application, browsers, email clients, and platforms. Today, there are still many systems that rejects IDN email addresses or don't properly handle new TLDs. This is the real barrier. For Nepal, for .Nepal to be meaningful, three things must be true. Browsers must resolve IDN domain correctly. Email system must accept and send Nepali script addresses. Online platform must accept .Nepal domain in registration form. Nepal's digital ecosystem must be audited and upgraded for UA readiness. This is one of the critical open questions I raise in this research study. What would this actually mean for Nepal? Let's talk about the impact. The impact of .Nepal would be felt across three dimensions. First, inclusion. Second, economy. And last, governance. When people can access the internet in their own script, adoption increases. Marginalized communities who struggle with Roman scripts gain a more accessible entry point. Nepali businesses can brand themselves authentically in their own language. E commerce, government service, education all become more accessible. Nepal's national identity exists in its own script on global internet. This is not just symbolic. This is geopolitical. In the end, language inclusion equals digital participation, and digital participation equal economic and civic empowerment. Nepal will not be doing this in isolation. Let me share the global context. So, we are at the pivotal moment. ICANN new GTLD round present opportunity for communities to claim their digital space. India has already done this. Bharat is live, managed by Nixie, and the demonstrate that the South Asian nation can successfully implement an IDN CCTLD at scale. Nepal can learn from this, but there are critical questions Nepal must answer. Can underserved communities access .Nepal domains affordably? Is Nepal actively participating in ICANN GAC? Is our digital ecosystem ready for universal acceptance? So, so to conclude, .Nepal is more than a domain extension. DNS equals accessibility. DNS equals trust. Universal acceptance equals usability in .Nepal. Together, they mean Nepal exists securely in global digital space. This is a research proposal. It's a call to action. It's a question to this room. Is the internet ready to include Nepal in its own language? I believe the answer should be yes. And I believe we, this community, and Nepal government and civil society can make this happen. Thank you.
Okay, I know that there are two hands raised in virtual, but I will start here with Taruna and then we'll move on to the virtual questions, please.
Taruna Kaur Bamra for the record. Sudip, I was so inspired by the .np's success. Congrats on making it fully functional. I believe adoption is growing steadily, I believe. I wanted to know that when you selected the .Nepal, what was the key criteria and how did factors like community demand and script readiness play in? Because as someone presenting on Gurmukhi Punjabi script for myself, I was also talking about UA acceptance and then about IDNs and EAI adoption. So I would love to know your insights on supporting lesser known scripts too, if that makes sense. Thank you.
As many report published in Nepal, many people can't understand or can't read English. So, to make a proper inclusion as per the ICANN and ISOC and these types of civil society community. We should include all people to access the government or the internet equally. The need of .Nepal is must. I think so.
But I was wondering, since I was presenting the Gurmukhi script, the native script of my community, I wanted to know what was the base criteria of selecting .Nepal for the instance and not the lesser known. Maybe you might have had the dialects or script that are lesser known, and why not select that as for their community to be known and being a youth voice, we could have been more experienced and it could have been much better, I think.
In today's situation, if we don't have .Nepal in a reality, so how can we further go into the other languages? First, we should have the Nepal in reality. That's the point.
Martin, go ahead, please.
Hey, this is Maarten Aartsen. I'm a member of SAC. Thank you for a pretty powerful pitch for Nepal and the Devanagari script. Am I pronouncing that right?
It's Devnagari.
Thank you for teaching me. I enjoyed your presentation. I think it's a powerful pitch, and I just wanted to mention that. Yeah, keep that energy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Martin. And then we have a question online.
Robert, you had your hand raised. Would you like to go with your question? Robert.
This is Robert Guerra. Martin just echoed my comments. Again, a very powerful presentation. And please, my only suggestion would be connect with the many experts and others who would be very keen to make sure your work continues with the success that it has so far.
Thank you, Robert. And there is a suggestion from Roberto Gaetano. IDN CCTLDs were the first IDN TLDs that were delegated. There was something called fast track, quickly renamed to non-so-slow track, that facilitated implementation of IDN TLDs because there was one single national jurisdiction and we could skip cross-national consideration. Chris Despain was the champion of this project, and it would be good if Sudip speaks to him. So if you need to meet Chris Despain, please see us. Thank you.
Thank you.